Today I'll show you why warming up is essential for you too, even if you don't practice sports or if you don't have a heavy physical activity, such as building a wall. My goal is to show you the 3 essential components of a good warming up and why 2 of them are relevant to any daily life activity for you as well as for anybody else. Welcome, I'm Olivier Girard, ergonomist, posture therapist, author of the Posture Manual and creator of 3 online posture programs. As always, I'm going to be super structured in my explanation because, well, 1, this is my DNA, 2, I think it really helps understanding the issue at stake, 3, it helps accepting and remembering the solution that I'm going to propose. So here we go with the 3, say, missions of a good warming up. A good warming up has as mission 1 to warm up, to heat up the body as a whole. This you will typically do by running around or so, and I'm not going to cover this in this video so much. We're mainly going to focus on missions number 2 and 3, which are respectively warm up every joint and program your brains. Let's go with mission 2 and then we stick to mission 3. And you will see why these 2 missions are important to you also. You see, joints tend to get a bit stiff when you don't use them or when it's cold and things like this. Therefore, a good warming up will help each and every joint get back to some kind of normal mobility, which is not exactly the same for you and for me because it depends on the training, on pathologies and all that, but it will help you maximize the mobility of each one of your joints within the framework of what it can do. So to work on that, we're going to draw some kind of a matrix, you know. In line, you're going to put every joint starting in your feet, finishing in your fingers. And in column, we're going to put XYZ. XYZ are what? They are the 3 different rotations that you can have in a 3D space. Not every joint can go through these 3 rotations, but if you have done 3 rotations, you know that you have done everything, you can go to the next joint. Okay, so this is how it goes. We take every joint and we try as many rotations as it can do. We start in your toes. What can your toes do? Well, they can do this called flexion, extension and flexion. Yeah? Now, after that, they can't rotate around themselves or sideways. So that's it. We have done the one thing that the toes can't do. We shift there and we arrive at your ankle. What can your ankles do? Well, they can go front and back like this. Yeah. So we do this on each side. And then they can go sideways a bit, although we don't like it too much because this is how you get sprain. We should make sure that the joint is warm in this direction too. And it can't go like this. So end of the story. We move to the next joint, your knees. What can your knees do? Only flexion extension. So that's what we do on each side. Then we arrive at your hip, and here we have a joint that can move in the 3 directions. Look, the first direction is obvious. It's front back swinging. Other leg also. Second direction, sideways. You can hold the wall if you like, and it goes like this, both outwards and inwards. Okay? Other side. And what is the last rotation that you can do in the hip joint? Well, it's called the axial rotation, which is that mainly outwards, maybe a bit inwards, and other side. That's it. You have done your hip. If you want to do things like this, well, you can. But look, this is a combo of things that we have already done, that and that in particular. And a combo is more difficult to do properly and, well, potentially more hazardous than single direction. This is why I really focus on single directions. Okay? Now we arrive at the lower back and the pelvis. Well, here, the movements that I will show you with my pelvis are not under control for everybody. So in an occupational setting, say for example when I teach this on a construction site, well, this is not a part that I show exactly like this. But for you guys, you need the proper version. Look, what can your pelvis do? Number one, hollow back, flat back, and a bit round. To do this properly, you need to make sure that one, you go slow, and two, that your pelvis stays behind your swinging arms. You see? It should not be there. If it's there, your pelvis is locked and you're only doing a hollow back. This is also important for anterior pelvic tilt, by the way. So pelvis back and hollow, flat, round slowly. Second direction, I'm going to bring the two sides of the pelvis alternatively forward. So you see, it goes like this. It's basically a torsion. Yeah? And what's the third direction? Up and down. So somehow I raise the leg by pulling on the pelvis. I have done 3 different movements, so I know that I've done everything I could do with my pelvis. Now in terms of the spine, it's kind of the same. It can go forward. It can go a little bit backwards, but I don't like it too much, so focus on forward, little bit back. Say, why I don't like it so much is that it puts pressure on the cartilage, and you see here your whole weight is on the back. So if we do this at home and not at work, it's better to do the movement on all fours, because then we don't have weight on your spine when you go hollow. Now this is of course a bit more difficult to do at work. Second direction for your back, sideways. Okay, and third direction, rotation. Now this is more or less the whole back, but honestly we have mainly focused on from here to here. So we're going to give specific attention to the neck now. What can your neck do? Rotation. So imagine that you glide your chin on a tray which is slightly descending. Then we can go around an axle that goes here through your chin. So that's ear towards the shoulder. That's called lateral flexion. Make sure that you don't go there. And then we can do forward flexion and a bit of extension, but not too much, for the same reasons. Extension is easier if your mouth is slightly open. Okay, we've done everything that your neck could do. 3 movements which are different means 3 directions of movement means 3D, that's it. Now shoulders, what can your shoulders do? Front, back. Both sides at the same time actually. They can also go sideways. And exactly like the hip joints, they can go around their own axis. Don't do this here or here. There's no point to strain your shoulders. Try as much as possible to stay within a 0 to 20 degree angle and really feel that your collarbones are doing this front-back movement. Yeah? Okay, we've done the shoulders. Finished. Let's go to the elbows. What can your elbows do? That. And you can also go like this. And then we arrive on your wrists. Your wrist can do flexion extension. And they can go lateral deviation, which is this. Huh? And now we at your fingers can close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open, close, open. And that's it, my friends. You have done every joint in every possible direction. Your matrix is complete. This program that I've done with you, and I hope that you did it along with me, is especially relevant for people who have osteoarthritis. If you're in your 20s, well, you don't know about this yet, I hope at least, but show this to your parents or to your grandparents. They will love you even more for that. And now, my friend, let's focus on the third mission of the warming up. You see, in posture therapy or posture education, we know that your brains function as a computer that drives every peripheral, which is your muscles. And through driving your muscles, it moves the joints. But as in for every computer, well, sometimes it gets a bit dirty, and sometimes you have a malware here, and sometimes this and that, meaning that your brains need a good reset. It needs to, at the beginning of the day and several times during the day, remember what are its weak points and needs to work on it. Give you a simple example. My weak point is that, I tend, especially if I'm stressed, to have my right foot moving outwards, which will contract the piriformis muscle and therefore increase the pressure on the sciatic nerve. So it's not comfortable. And one thing that I do every morning when I wake up is have my feet super parallel and train my balance with my feet parallel, train the beginning of the walk, and walk just focusing on that thing, which is my weak spot. You can also train, say, strength of muscles that you will need to use a lot during the day. This is also a good way to restore the connection between the brain and the muscles. So it can be working on your weak spots, or it can be working on things that you need most. If you do a lot of manual handling, you can, for example, during your warming up, work on cladding. There are 3 regions that you need to clad, and I will show you how to mobilize them so as to wake them up here, and therefore they will be ready for use during your job. But just short parenthesis, why do we need to clad? Well, simply because you can position yourself well with respect to the load, but if you have a heavy load, your body will bend under the effect of the load. So we need to counteract this by mobilizing, I don't like the word contracting, but mobilizing certain muscles. There are 3 groups of muscles that we're going to mobilize, and that's what we're going to do now. Look, you're going to stand like this, yeah? Feet parallel, butt back, but the back is not hollow, yeah? The back is flat. And the first region you're going to clad is your legs. You're going to not move your feet, but you're going to exert strength exactly like if you would like to bring your heels towards each other, yeah? Here you feel that your legs are super tightened. Then second area, lower abs and glutes. Actually, the best way to do this is to imagine you want to go to the toilets, but it's busy, yeah? You block everything. And the third area is your mid-back. To mobilize your mid-back, you hold your arms like this. Imagine you have a big balloon in between your arms, and you go and press the big balloon with your elbows, and that will wake up your mid-back muscles. And you do this for 30 to 40 seconds with a lot of intensity. And then when you relax, well, my friends, you have woken up these 3 groups of muscles that you need to lift or hold or push or pull. And you see, this is why warming up is essential for Mrs. and Mr. Everybody. We all have joints that we need to maintain in terms of mobility, which is mission 2 of the warming up. And we all have things on which we should be working, either because we have weak spot, or because we have a condition, or because we need to remember our brains that certain muscles exist and that it should use them. So these missions 2 and 3 are relevant to anybody, including to you, including if you're in your 20s. If you like this stuff, share it, comment it, subscribe, and well, have a look at the online posture programs to learn even more on posture.